Here we go. Psychic reading on Carlos Castaneda. So I'm connecting with his energy and I'm seeing it at a dark blue. Get clear clarity type of energy, although a little emotional at times. So I'm looking for a picture that represents him and his life. Seeing him holding up a crown, or sorry, not a crown, a torch that's lit. He's lighting the way. He has a following. And as he's going into this maze, he doesn't really know where he's going either. It's like he has this light that's guiding the way, so to speak, but he also has this sense of unknowingness. Like he doesn't actually know where he's going. He's going down these corridors, leading these people, and there's this sense of uneasiness within him. Let's see, what is this about? There's a sense of terror that he's not sure where he's going. And it's like that he's been given instructions, is what I'm getting, but these instructions are very basic and kind of flimsy and left to a lot of interpretation from him. And so he's trying to, it's like he's been given a very basic blueprint and he's trying to use this blueprint to go. And that's what I'm seeing as being his books and his teachings. Like he's been given this very basic truth and he's been kind of going along it, but there's a sense of uneasiness within it because he knows that he doesn't quite exactly know what he's doing. So it looks like some of it could potentially not be as authentic as he would have wanted it to be. So I'm going to look more at what this is about. So it looks like he was trying things out. As he was writing his books, he was taking steps in different directions, just trying things out, kind of like, you know, seeing if it even works. And trial and error. That's what I'm trying to say. It looks like some of what he wrote, he was kind of going out on a limb. He wasn't really sure what he was saying. I'm getting the sense that he was using his intuition on some things and coming up with conclusions that may not have been completely accurate. So I'm gonna ask to see a picture for this. I'm gonna look at what is that about. So I'm seeing him in a boat, metaphorically, not literally, um, writing papers, and he has all these scrolls, and he's writing all this stuff out. And there's somebody walking in the door, talking to him, warning him about the sea outside, and it's a bumpy ride, and it's crazy storm weather outside. And it's like he's trying to concentrate, and he's trying to write his book, or his books. And there's something kind of frantic about this. He's trying to connect these dots as quick as he can. He's trying to get it all done. It looks like he kind of just jumped to some conclusions. Like he just jumped to, like, well, this connects up with that, so therefore it is. When this isn't really necessarily like him, like really having the time to allow things to fall into place to really make sense. It looks like he has all these maps and these scrolls that he's piecing together to come to his conclusions. So it looks like it's like his books, like his work is like many things being put together. That's how it's coming across. So there's the whole scandal around, is Don Juan the main character, or not the main character, but the main teacher in his books? Is he authentic? Is it a real story? So I don't know if I have a complete picture on that, but it does look like there's lots of information from different places, which could be different states of mind as well. So I'm going to ask a little bit more about this. I was pointing to one that looks like there was some sort of teacher, some sort of teaching. It looks like some of the other pieces are ideas ideas loosely based on other philosophies that he had an interpretation of, and those are kind of, I'm seeing them as like being blown around in the wind. They're a little not so grounded in that regard. It's kind of more like an intellectual type of understanding that isn't necessarily rooted in absolute fact. But it was like kind of like a wishy-washy kind of idea he had about something. And I'm seeing this has a lot to do with dreams, is what's coming up within his work, within his books. He wrote a book specifically about dreaming, the art of dreaming, I think it was called. That one's coming up as being a little wishy-washy. Let's see what else comes up here. So I'm seeing him plotting, like kind of trying to really create what I'm seeing as like an anchor in a boat, and like in the context of being able to put down this anchor to really hook people, to really like create some weight, to really get people interested in the books and the ideas. And it looks like there's a little bit more weight being put on Don Juan as a character than was actually the case. I'm seeing him as being more of just like a average Native American type of guy, who had some teachings to say that weren't really quite as in depth as Carlos Castaneda made them out to be. Looks like they were, just like kind of more casual teachings, and then Carlos Castaneda took those and really added this intricate story to it. So like these intricate stories about all this stuff going on. It looks like those were more like stories he came up with in his own mind about the teachings that he was taught. Like, for example, he was taught like a basic idea, basic concept, and then in order to really get that point across, Carlos Castaneda came up with these stories to illustrate the point, to illustrate the fact. So it looks like it is coming from a place of wisdom, coming from a place of truth on some level, that these are true teachings that he has gathered throughout his life, but it looks like he's really just being inauthentic about how it actually happened and creating these stories. I want to see more about this. Yeah, it looks like some of the stuff that he said is just not even true at all. It's like his own interpretation of things he's read in other books and his own theories about things that he just threw in there because he thought they made sense, or because also in some intuitive aspect he could feel it. Like I'm seeing it as the in his books he talks about a part like somewhere in the gut of people where there's these, I think, assemblage points is what he calls them, like energetic tentacles that come out. I'm seeing it as that was something more that he was feeling, and he was feeling some sort of energy like that in that area. And so he came up with this idea that that's like your willpower, and that's where you send out energy into the world to kind of like control things, and they're kind of like these tentacles that kind of energetically maneuver things in the world. And I'm seeing that as like being a partial truth, like there's some truth to what he was feeling, but that his and that there I'm actually getting that there is some level of truth to that, but the way that he wrote it out in his books was his own interpretation of it that wasn't really entirely accurate. But it looks like that's more of just a connection with the second and the third chakra. Um, the second chakra, or I don't know, it's actually kind of coming across as both second and the third chakra, about being able to just have that energetic connection um, to things outside of yourself through those chakras, and that really being something that was happening, and he was able to kind of control the energy, and he was conscious of this. So there is a lot of wisdom to his teachings. Like he really was conscious of this energy coming out of him and affecting the world around him. But the idea that it's so cut and dry, like there is a specific spot where that comes out and it does specific things, that seems to be a little, that's more his interpretation than like the actual truth of the reality, which is that potentially that could happen through any chakras or through any part of the body anywhere. But there is definitely truth to it, so it's not like he just made it up either, although at some aspects he did. So I'm going to look a little bit more at Don Juan. So I'm seeing a picture where he's thinking, he's kind of dreaming up the idea of Don Juan, and he's writing it in a book. And so what is coming across is that Don Juan is a romanticized version of like his ideal teacher that is coming from some form of reality. It looks like it's like what I'm saying is him being around this tribal leader teacher, um, and this guy kind of not really having much time for Carlos Castaneda, and kind of just being like, yeah, like this is that, like sure, whatever, like get out of here, and not really having much time for him. And Carlos Castaneda really kind of taking that person and romanticizing him into this story that he created, which is more about illustrating the truth than it is about literally being the truth. But it looks like he was taking some teachings from this guy. So I'm seeing a picture of this guy with like a seashell, and he's putting it up to his ear, and it's like he's listening to the seashell, and it's almost like he's channeling, like he's hearing something more. And he's showing Carlos Castaneda how he's doing this. And it's more of like an intuitive feeling type of thing, without these strict rules, without these without the level of intellectual understanding that Carlos Castaneda was putting into it, and it's more just like him just putting up a seashell to his ear. And this is more symbolic than literally, like he's not literally necessarily doing that. This is just the way that I'm seeing it to represent what's going on, but it's like that, the energy of it. It's like he's able to hear this, he's able to connect to something, a different realm, I guess you could say. And Carlos Castaneda saw what he was doing, and this guy would be kind of saying whatever and just kind of saying what he intuitively felt, and it may not even be like, he might say something completely different that contradicts what he said previously next time, but Carlos Castaneda was taking everything he was saying very, very literally and using that and really coming to conclusions that may not have been logical conclusions that you could actually base off of these insights that are more like feelings and more like metaphors than literal. It looks like there is some storytelling that came from that. So I'm seeing a picture of Carlos Castaneda being, it's like he's squinting his eyes. He's kind of like really pushing. It's like he's really trying to connect the dots. He's really trying to make things work. It's like he wants things to go together and fit, but it's like it's like he knows there's truth. He knows it, but he can't quite get it to all fit together in this concrete way that his intellect wants. And it's funny because he talks about that in his books, about how Don Juan is always like making fun of him for trying to understand everything so intellectually. And it looks like it, it's ironic he put that in his books because it's totally true. It's not that there isn't truth to his books. There's lots of wisdom within his books. But it looks like later on, um, in his later books, it looks like those ideas turned into stories that aren't really like, they're interesting stories that illustrate a point, but you shouldn't take them too literally is what I'm getting. So what is this about him looking like he's squinting his eyes and he's looking kind of frustrated, and it looks like there's like the machine of society, or whatever you want to call it, the machine of our culture. More appropriately, our culture is what it is. It's like jammed um, machinery, and he's like trying to get it to turn, and he's trying to get this stuff to be presentable, and it's like the only way for it to be presentable is for it to like kind of jump through these hoops, so to speak, of societal understanding. And so it looks like at some point he resorted to doing things very like flashy and just kind of, I'm saying like tiger skin, like a tiger rug, and like that, the energy of that, like someone being very like charismatic and a sort of like, I got this tiger robe, and like very luxurious, and kind of just like, I'm just gonna, you know take all the credit for all this, and um kind of like, I don't care if they're extinct or whatever, close. I don't know, extinct, but you know what I mean. That kind of attitude. Like, if you ever watched the show Tiger King, that the type of people that get attracted to that sort of thing, usually it's like that type of energy that he gave into within writing his books. I guess you could say it's similar to Leo energy. Although I'm not saying he's a Leo, I don't know what he is. I don't think he's a Leo at all. So I'm seeing him walking around with some people who fully believe in him. There's this woman. It's like they're all like in a line, and he's like, "Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead," like patting them on the back and like kind of pushing them forward into what looks like his class, um, like a martial arts studio is kind of what it looks like. Um, and as he's doing this, it's like the people are giving him more permission to exaggerate because they kind of want that. And it looks like he was kind of recognizing that and kind of going along with it to the point where it just became more and more exaggerated. And it was like the more he would exaggerate, the more people would want it and like thirst after it and be like, yes, I want more of that. And then he would kind of keep going down that path of exaggerating more and more. And it looks like that's what happened. And it was like a truth. The way I'm saying it is, it's like there's a truth, and then there are kind of like, I guess you could say, tentacles that came out of that truth, and they all kind of wrapped around each other and kind of got all tangled up into a big mess. So I want to see a picture of this truth within all of this, maybe like towards the end of his life. What did all this mean to him? Seeing him with a gun and like his book, like it's a Bible. He's very defending of himself. It's like he needs this gun as like protection, symbolically. Um, it's like he's kind of trying to hide within a little nook. It's like he's found his little clique. He's found his group of people that he likes, but he's kind of trying to get out of the public eye, and he's very weary of other people. Looks like. Let's see. Is there any sort of okay? So I've heard like conspiracy theories about Carlos Castaneda. I just want to look into that a little bit. So I'm seeing a picture of a key going into a lock, and it's locking Carlos Castaneda up into a prison. And it looks like there are security guards here. This is obviously symbolic. It is not literal. And his arms are chained up to the point where he can't even move, and he's just sitting down, and it's like he's completely stuck and he's completely trapped. And it's like he couldn't help himself go down this path. It was almost like once you take one step, you're sliding down the hill. But he doesn't really feel bad about it either. I'm not seeing that either. Let me see, what does this have to do with the corruption? Because that was or what does this have to do with conspiracies? That was my question here. I'm seeing these authority figures come in with like a book, like a Bible almost. I don't know why Bibles keep coming up, but no, it's not a Bible. It's like a book of the law, and they're like throwing it down on the ground. They're like, you see this? Trying to see what this means. And it's like, these are the rules you broke. You did this, you did that, you broke all these rules. And they're very upset about it. So who are these people? They're like an authority figure, like a police officer almost, but not the police at all. He feels very sad about this. Like he's been caught. So let's see, is there a conspiracy for this? I guess I'm not saying that there is. I guess what I'm gonna ask is, who is this person, the authority figure, slamming this book of laws in his face? I'm saying I'm getting on a motorcycle and driving off like he's like kind of like a kind of badass kind of vibe. And these are people who he pissed off, who didn't really like him after a while. People who felt betrayed by his work. So maybe that's the conspiracy, is that he was the conspirator. Let's see. I want to see if there's any connection with him and like government mind control, because that's like the conspiracy theories I've heard. Let's see what comes up. So I'm just seeing a rose way up in the sky that represents the fruit of his work, and he's jumping up, like trying to reach it, and it's just really high up there. You can't reach it. He's trying. He's got an energetic cord, and he's like pulling it down now. And so what I'm seeing is all this media and all these outside influences trying to get to his fruits of his labor, but it looks like he is able to really pull it down and own it for himself, so that there wasn't really any outside influence directing him or controlling him. This looks like it was really about him really wanting this for himself. Let's see, what is this? What this rose represents is him. It has to do with women, but it also has to do with living his wisdom, living this, like, I don't know, it's just like this energy that goes over him. That's like gold energy. That is his truth, his ability to really connect with his spirit, his ability to really be satisfied without seeking outside knowledge. In other words, like him really being able to tap into his intuitive knowingness. Looks like that was the fruits of his labor. I'm going to go ahead and end this reading now. This was a short reading compared to most. I didn't want to do a whole hour reading because that's probably too hard for most people to watch, and I want people to actually be able to watch these. So my overall thoughts on Carlos Castaneda is he was a wise guy. I mean, not like a wise guy, but I mean like in a good way. He was wise, but he was a little deceiving. That's what my intuition is telling me. So thanks for watching this. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel so you can see new videos coming out. And don't forget to click on the notification bell and click all so that you get notified for all my videos so that you don't miss them. Thanks for watching.